Do you ever wonder how big the creator economy is today? Well, according to Goldman Sachs research and a study they did earlier in 2023, today it's $250 billion. By 2027, it's estimated to reach $500 billion. That's more than $500 billion a year in that creator economy. Now, in terms of the number of creators, there are more than 50 million global creators across the world right now. And we're talking multiple platforms, different ways of generating revenue, but it is expected to continuously increase by 10 to 20% in the next 4 years. So on the low end, 10% to 20% increase. And the reason for that increase in the study, they cite it is the explosion of more digital channels. So technology, AI, digital media, more smartphones, better connectivity, different ways for creators to be able to reach different audiences. And then there is the aspect of branding. Companies know that for younger audiences, generations like Gen Z and also millennials, they want more authenticity. So if you're a creator out there, and let's talk about that for a second, actually, before we get into it. What is a creator after all? Well, there are many different job roles out there that fit that criteria. You could be a vlogger, a blogger, an influencer. You could be a musician, artist, podcaster, a streamer, video game streamer, photographer, a writer, an author, a recipe creator. There's so many of those as we've seen the explosion during COVID or the pandemic on TikTok, where you had so many great people doing different types of foods around the world. You have, of course, educators, people who are creating online courses, fitness coaches, DIY and craft creators that do home improvement projects. You've got motivational speakers, consultants, tech reviewers. You've got web and software developers. I've seen so many attorneys even leave their profession to go become TikTok influencer or creators to give that kind of advice out there. We've seen in the healthcare space, doctors allocate a certain number of hours every week to doing videos because they know it drives business for them. Of course, graphic designers, event planners, anybody in the wedding industry, that is pretty huge as well. And of course, e-commerce owners. But for brands, what that means is as the number of creators go up, that means that the demand is going to probably be relatively higher, but you're going to have more creators out there. So for you, if you're one of the creators that I just mentioned, you need to have the right tools in place to be able to share your content, to be able to understand how you can best monetize your audience and for that matter, grow the audience. How do you communicate with them? And so it's really important to do that because just signing up for an affiliate program is not enough. As a matter of fact, the study cites that 70% of all income or revenue generated by these creators, this $250 billion a year industry, 70% of it comes from direct brand deals where you, the creator, you're pitching a product. And we hear that even in this podcast world that we're in and the online digital channels, mostly what you see is creators, influencers, bloggers pitching products, right? They're putting their stamp of approval. Sometimes they're, testing out the product, unboxing it, but they really want to be honest about their feedback. And that's how the brands reach people. So you look at a company like Disney or Nike, so many others out there who use this channel to grow their business because they know that the younger audiences trust the voices of these creators. Now, not all creators are equal. Let's just, start there. The fact that only 4% of all these millions of creators, only 4% are deemed professionals. And so in the study, the way they deemed it professional was those making over $100,000 a year. So if you think about it, but $100,000 isn't a lot of money in the context of the expense, right? How much money you have to invest in order to get to that level. If you think about the equipment, if you think about the editing, like every aspect of sharing your content and being on multiple channels, you're not doing it alone. And so a lot of these creators, they're spending 10, 15 hours a day to create a crazy number of posts across different platforms and videos. And so in order to get new users, in order to keep the ones they already have engaged, their followers, they have to continuously create. So if you're making $100,000, you're probably spending at least a third of that. And this is according to my own research for over, a decade now. I've worked in the digital marketing space and have been able to hire many of these creators. As a matter of fact, we had one huge partnership with a mattress company, one of those unboxed, those mattress that get shipped to your house. And we used to have a ton of bloggers and creators and mommy influencers who used to sell the product for us, and we pay them on a commission basis. And the ones that had bigger channels that were, more than 100,000 followers, we would then give them an actual percentage plus some bonuses and whatnot. And then the ones that had more than a million, we would just strike a deal where we actually pay them a static advertising cost. So sharing the ad revenue is one way to do it. And then you have the creators who are, just building subscription products like online course creators that I was just mentioning. And then you have the ones who are writers, who are there creating content to really entertain you. And those are looking sometimes for donations if they have a newsletter, let's say on Substack or something like that. So those are all the different ways that the creator world is continuously growing. And as I said, by 2027, it is looking like it's going to be a $500 billion industry. Now, which companies will benefit most from the creator economy is a question that we often get here. It's like, where should I be? I understand that I need to use, an app like Push Bio to create my links and my feeds, and then I can share all my different channels in one place. That's one way to do it. But of course, you still have to figure out which channel you're going to be in. And that's something that no one can choose for you. You have to look at the analytics. So in the study, in this Goldman Sachs study, they looked at 6 key enablers for what they described as the flywheel effect. If you're not familiar with the flywheel effect, look it up. There's been a few books written on it. But basically, there are 6 key enablers. The first one being the ability to scale. So large user base with diverse interests, right? So there's so many niches out there for creators to reach, and brands like that because they want to get into smaller groups. Those types of transactions convert at a higher rate. Access to capital, diverse revenue base is something that a lot of these VCs and hedge funds, that's what they're looking for. How can I get a diverse revenue base, which then means I'm able to reach more audiences, and you're able to grow your different lines of businesses, right? The third one is the AI. So artificial intelligence, being able to match creators with the right users at a much faster rate and with more accuracy. That's important. And then, of course, effective monitoring tools and monetization tools, very, very important, because sometimes it's hard to just work within one platform to track all your monetization. So whether you're using Stripe, Square, the affiliate platforms themselves to track your monetization, you have to use the different tools. And some of those tools used to be really expensive years ago, but now they've come down in price. The fifth one is data analytics, insights, analysis. Be transparent on the engagement is huge. When you're a creator and you're pitching a brand, you have to be transparent. You have to show your analytics. You have to show what kind of engagement you have, the retention that you have, and what kind of conversion you can expect to get for their brand or product. Because if you can't show a brand or a company what kind of conversion they can expect, they're not going to close with you. And so you might be creating all this great content, but brands are passing up on partnerships with you because you're not transparent. So use the analytics tools out there to be able to show brands that you are able to get your users to engage and then follow through whatever link that is or product, and be able to grow their lines of businesses, right? It's a win-win for everyone. And then, of course, e-commerce is a natural opportunity for most creators. You get to a point where you say, well, my brand is big enough. I have enough followers. Now I can go out and create products. Maybe you want to create a line of organic soaps, right? Maybe it's a line of t-shirts. But merchandise is huge. Whether you're a streamer, whether you're a food blogger, a podcaster, merchandise can make up 10, 20, 30% of your revenue when done effectively. Of course, you have to have the Shopify or whatever other e-commerce CMS in place for you to be able to sell those products and get them fulfilled. And it's fairly easy to get products fulfilled with your branding on it. So that's a huge opportunity. But as far as like the future, what it looks like, I think we're going to definitely see more creators. But as it gets saturated and then the demand goes down a little bit because you're going to have more creators, based on this study and based on talking to different creators, we are seeing right now, they're going to stick to the legacy systems. Plus, I wouldn't call TikTok legacy. They're definitely one of the new players last 4 years. But, it's YouTube and TikTok. Those are the top two, followed by Facebook, Instagram, and then Snap and Twitch. So those are like the main platforms. And then there is a concept that they call flight to quality in the study. And flight to quality, just saying that a lot of these creators and influencers in the study, they responded by saying they're going to start to focus on less channels. So not trying to be on 20 different social media platforms, but put most of their efforts into being a big voice into one of the channels and then do that very well. So I think that that's a natural progression. We saw it with social media early on and with YouTubers, and then now we're seeing it again. That is definitely the way to grow in the future. But if you're looking for a great tool to share your content creations, your products, look for pushbio.io. And we are here week in, week out, trying to give you guys the tips, the stories, case studies about everything that is going on in this creator world. And so reach out to us if you have any questions. And if you are looking to be a guest on the show, we are taking guests for the fall. And share with your friends, give us a rating. We want to get this podcast out there and help it grow your business, because it is a business. If you're a creator, even if you're not making that 100,000 or $1 million a year yet, it takes time for you to build that audience. But believe me, if you stick with it and you do really good content, it's been my experience that you're going to be able to grow and achieve your goals. All right. So I wish you the best of luck with your creator business, and we will see you next week.